Hey, how are you doing? I thought that as I'm going through the Bible at the moment, I'm in Genesis and I'm reading it, I'd share some interesting, weird stories in the Bible that I've come across. This one in particular I'd never heard of before, and I have absolutely no idea how I didn't know this existed, but I'm going to share what happens in Genesis 38. So I've got my Bible, I'm going to open it near the beginning to Genesis 38 and let's go. So basically this story's title is Judah and Tamar. Tamar? I kept reading it's Tamara. I don't think it's Tamara, I think it is Tamar. So basically Judah gets married to a woman called Shua. I think it's Shua, it's spelled S-H-U-A, and they have two sons. So the eldest is and the youngest is Onan. So marries Tamar, and is, and I'm going to read this quote for quote, wicked in the Lord's eyes, so God kills them. And I read this, I was like, what? That's an extreme response. Yeah, he might be wicked, but why has he done that? What does wicked mean in this example? How wicked was he? My thought is maybe that God did this to protect others, so maybe he was murdering people, maybe he was hurting others, maybe God killed him to protect others. I don't know. But that's the first bit I was like, whoa, okay, what's happening? Someone has just been murdered. If a woman's husband died, she would then get married to the husband's brother. So Onan then marries Tamar, which was just common practice at the time. The idea was that Onan would now provide children for his dead brother. So the ancestry line would continue with even though was dead and wasn't actually Er's children. Because Onan knew that the kids wouldn't actually be counted as his, when they slept together he spilt the semen on the ground so he couldn't provide children. This was seen as wicked in the Lord's eyes, and God killed him. So this is now the second brother that's been killed. I was reading this, I was like, what was his specific sin? Was it maybe misleading people in this situation? Was it the fact that God had told them at the beginning of Genesis, we're now almost at the end, but at the beginning, that they needed to reproduce and have lots of children because they needed to populate the world? And was it maybe that he wasn't doing that, but the word that was used again was wicked? And I found that really interesting because that's not a word that's used a lot in the Bible, but again, he's described as wicked. So by this point, Judah had another son called Selah. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, because Selah is like a basement, and Tamar should have married him, but he was too young. So Tamar was sent away until Selah was old enough. In this time, with Tamar away, Judah's wife died. Judah one day went away and saw Tamar out and about, but she had her face covered. So firstly, he didn't recognise her. Secondly, prostitutes at the time quite often had their face covered. So he saw her, was like, oh, that's a woman I don't know, and she's a prostitute. I'm going to go sleep with her. Okay. I would think in the process of actually sleeping with someone, they'd probably uncover their face. You probably recognise them. But anyway, he didn't. She becomes pregnant. 3 months later, Judah is told that Tamar is pregnant and therefore has dishonoured the family, can't marry Selah. Judah therefore wanted her to be killed. So Tamar is about to get killed and she's like, this isn't right because he's trying to kill me, but he's the one I had sex with. This is all a bit confusing. So it gets a subtle message through people. So it doesn't outright say Judah's the guy I slept with, but it's a subtle message to Judah to be like, I'm the prostitute that you slept with, I'm pregnant with your child. And he then is like, oh, I shouldn't kill you, and actually calls her more righteous than I, so sees her as really righteous. And basically she then has two twins, one of them called Perez, maybe, and one of them called Sarah. So yeah, that's the story. It's just a lot happens. The chapter before this, they're talking about Joseph, as in Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and then they have this story, and then they go back to Joseph. It just seems really random, out of the way, but I guess it does teach us stuff maybe about basically don't sleep with people, pretend to lie and all that stuff. But yeah, I just found it a very strange and interesting story that I'd never heard before, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you ever come across any weird Bible stories that you don't quite understand, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Bye! Rosie's being very silent just there. Except she's not, because she's laughing. When they slept together, he spilt the sermon. That's not how I spelled it. Spelled L-E-A-L.